Hello, welcome to our Wednesday web forum. Today we're going to be talking about how COVID is affecting high school athletics. I'm Karen Johnson, Community Engagement Specialist in the district, and we have panelists with you that I will turn the time over to them and they will introduce themselves. We do have with us Dr. Shannon Delaney. Want to congratulate her on her award as the state 2020-21 Superintendent of the Year. So we're so pleased and she's so deserving. Steve?
Steve Allen or the other Steve? I guess there's just one Steve. Steve Allen.
Just Steve Allen, go ahead.
My name's Stephen Allen. I'm really happy to be here. I serve as the president of the Iron County School Board. And briefly, this is something that in consultation with the superintendent, we thought would be a great way to communicate with our community and to stay in touch and answer questions. And so we're really excited to kick this off this fall.
Shannon, let's have you next.
You bet. Shannon Delaney, Superintendent, Iron County School District, and happy to be a part of this new way of increasing our communication with our communities. And we're grateful for all that are choosing to attend.
And then we have our three athletic directors from the high schools. We'll go first with Kyle Robinson, then Brett Jacobson, then Danny Lewis. Would you please introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Kyle Robinson, athletic director at Canyon View High School. Been here 3 years. This is my fourth. This is my 8th year as an athletic administrator.
Brett?
I am Brett Jacobson, athletic director at Fairlawn High School. This is my first year here at Fairlawn, but I've been involved with athletics for a number of years. Excited to be back on this side of the state.
And Danny.
I'm Danny Lewis, athletic director at Cedar High School. I've been currently serving in this position for the past 9 years.
Thank you. Thank you for joining our panel. Since we don't have questions coming in, I'll let you just each talk about what's happening with athletics in your schools, any concerns, anything you think the community ought to be aware of as we move forward. So Danny, you want to start?
Sure. We've actually received guidelines and instructions regarding our activities from the Utah High School Activities Association. They've set the standard on what needs to take place in order for us to host our activities. And then we have to consult with our Southwest Health Department to see if their guidelines are any more stringent, if we have to change anything. So as far as athletic directors go and hosting events, our job has increased probably tenfold with what we have to do in preparation for competitions. Just to give you an idea, in order to prepare for a varsity football game, it takes me over 4 hours just to set up the field with all the flagging and the signage and everything that we need to do to keep people socially distanced and safe during the events, particularly our athletes. And the reason it takes so long is we have to take it down every day because we teach classes that have to go out and use those same facilities. And so from a guideline and a safety standpoint, it's increased our jobs immensely.
Jump in, Kyle or Brett, Shannon, Roy, Steve.
Yeah, this is Kyle. One thing that, that Danny was just out setting up his field for a Wednesday night freshman football game, which is happening because Washington County is having trouble getting bus drivers for events. And, I believe that's a result of COVID as well. A lot of these drivers just aren't willing to take that risk and getting a bunch of kids on the buses and stuff. And So that's affecting us as well. We've got an extra night. Wednesday night's usually been reserved for other activities, and it's been one night a week where we didn't have anything, but now we have something that night as well every week or every other week or so. For Danny, it's actually been every week so far. He's had a Wednesday night game, but yeah, just to echo what Danny said, it's increased our preparation for games immensely. We were already spending 60, 70 hours a week at work and doing games and stuff, and now it's increased that a lot more.
I'll pose a question to you. Do we test players before games, or
We
how does
I'll
that
answer
happen?
that. We test players every day. Before they come to practice, they have to actually meet with a member of the coaching staff or our sports medicine team, and they have to go through temperature checks daily. They have to answer the 5 questions of whether they have symptoms or not. And if an athlete has a temperature or answers yes to any of those questions, they're sent home. Their parents are contacted, and then they make that decision whether it's something that was just temporary and may be attributed to allergies or any other type of cold that they may need to see a doctor for. But we take extra precautions. And with that being said, not only do we do that with athletes, but the coaches have to go through that each day as well. And then on game days, every single person involved in the game management has to go through a health check. So anyone that works in the press box, from an announcer to a timekeeper to radio personalities that come in, they all have to pass the health check to be able to stay there. Those that take tickets and let people into the games, those that work as managers, we meet the officials as they enter the building, and they have to go through the health check as well. And so those are the safeguards that we have, and that's what contributes to the increase of our duties as athletic directors.
So do we have some kind of number of athletes, for example, who test positive before a game that we say we're going to have to cancel?
No, we basically what happens is we're under the guidance of the Southwest Health Department. So if we have an athlete that tests positive, we have to do the contact tracing, see who's been in close proximity, 6 feet or closer, for longer than 15 minutes, and then we quarantine those athletes or that staff. We've only had a couple of incidents, I think, in the whole district, and most of those happened before the season even started during our summer activities. So we've actually, I believe it was, I don't know if it was Dr. Blodgett or who it was, when they were talking, said that we haven't had spread at this point through our athletes and through our schools. Anyone who's contracted it has actually contracted it outside of school. So
I can validate that. I just talked with Dr. Blodgett at the end of last week, and that's still the case. Any cases, they have not contracted it while in our facilities or participating in our activities. All of the contracting has happened at home with friends, with family, whatever.
That's wonderful to hear. One of the questions I get in the community is what we do to minimize risk when traveling by bus. And I wonder if one of our panelists could address that.
Yeah, I can address that. So what we do is they'll get on the bus, and the coaches will, once the kids are in their seats with their masks on, everyone's going to have a mask on. They will take a picture of where everybody is sitting, and the kids have to stay in the same seats. Then if we have anybody with an outbreak, we know exactly where they were sitting, and it's just the people who are sitting within 6 feet of them that have to quarantine. That way we don't expose to anybody unnecessarily. And then when the kids exit the bus, they also, the bus driver will sanitize the bus every time.
That's great.
Just to go along with that, all of our teams have a COVID screening form. So if they have any of the following symptoms, a fever over 100.4, cough, sudden change in taste or smell, trouble breathing, or shortness of breath, sore throat, muscle aches or pains, they're not allowed on the bus. And this form lists all of our athletes, so that the temperature was checked and if there are any symptoms or not. And we expect all of our teams to come to our school to provide us with something similar to that as well. So on both ends, coming and going, our athletes are checked.
We have a big game coming up, homecoming for our schools. I believe we have Canyon View and Cedar High. What's going to be different about this game in terms of location and how the schools are handling that?
Well, most people know the game's going to be held at SUU, and the main reason it's being held there is SUU. They reached out to us and thought that it would be a great opportunity where they're not able to host anything, that we could have something on their campus at the same time allowing for more social distancing to take place. Because the game between Cedar and Canyon View, regardless of records each year, it's the most attended high school game in the county. And so we're grateful that they're doing that for us. We've actually talked about doing it in the past, but we've never been able to make it work financially. And this time around, SUU said, you guys can have the gate, you can run the concessions. And so it's a win-win for us to be able to host it at such a nice facility. Not that ours aren't, but it's not a university where we play. And so there's some things that change. Cedar being the home team, we're responsible for the game management. So we'll have to transport our signage over there at the entrances. We do have to have personnel at the gates. And there is a ticketing process. We will use SUU's ticketing facilities. And so every entrant that comes in has to have a pre-purchase ticket. And SUU is doing contact tracing where they'll have a card on all the seats so that people can fill those out and turn those in where they're seated. And they'll take care of the cleanup after. We're going to pay for that, but their staff will take care of the cleanup, so the sanitization and things. But it's a great opportunity. We're excited to do it.
Well, that's
Kyle,
going to be
do
exciting.
you have any? Go ahead. I was going to say, Kyle, do you have anything to add and remind us of the date of that game?
That's the 25th. That's next Friday. And yeah, we're really excited about that. And we've, like Danny said, we've been talking about having a game there in the past, just because when we do have that game at our stadiums, people are all over the place. I mean, it's jam packed, and so it would be. We've talked about it being nice to be over there, but now that we've got COVID and that's shut down the Big Sky Conference, which is SUU is in. SUU has been awesome to just reach out to us and say, hey, we want to help out. We want people to be able to spread out for this game, so they know how big it is, and it's awesome. Then we don't have to limit the number of entrants into the game.
One of the things that brings a real feeling of fall and football and eventually basketball is the pep bands. How is that being impacted, and will pep bands be able to play at athletic events this year?
We've had them at our events, but what our band teacher's done is he's actually split that group into thirds so that he can actually socially distance them as they're playing their instrument, and they have some things flying through the air when they're playing their instruments. So we will not have a full band at any of the games while we're currently in the yellow phase of the COVID guidelines, but they represent.
Yeah, and another thing we're doing with our bands is they're not up in the stands; they are down on the track, just right behind the end zone. And as well as our student section, they're on up at our school. We've got them up on the hill We've got that hill on the east side, but we've also got the band away from the people, so they're not blowing their projectiles over the people walking in front of them. On
Carrollton High School, we've separated the band and the student body to give our fans more of an opportunity to spread out in the stands. And then our band director, Mr. Walker, is then more of a percussion. We've got a lot of garbage cans that we are banging on this year, not less fit.
So in general, and I'll drag this question to any of you who want to answer, what are we expecting of fans at athletic events?
Well, at all the events, it's masks required to actually even be able to get into the competition. Where we're outside at a lot of our facilities, we make announcements and remind fans that they should be wearing their masks. Indoor facilities were a lot more strict with our attendees following that. We've actually stopped our competitions a couple of times and let them know, the fans, that we won't resume the activity until their masks are all on. And you know, there's a few begrudgingly they put their masks back on, but for the most part, I think our fans have done a great job, especially in our indoor facilities when we're playing volleyball.
Outdoor fans are expected to wear the mask and at least social distance. Yeah, we've done a good job here at Fairlawn, putting our fans not only in the stands but in the track. But we've got to have a mask to get in, and we'd like you to keep the mask on if they can't social distance outside.
I have a question for the athletic directors. Obviously, you've done a great job of putting plans together for your fans. How does that look in Region 9, in your region, Brett, when other people come into the facility? How do you communicate with them and expectations that might be maybe different, maybe not different? What does that look like?
Well, I'll speak for, Kyle and I in Region 9. We're lucky. We have a great region where we meet monthly. We meet as a region board, and then we meet again as athletic directors. And we actually put a plan together that everyone in the region's following, as far as where student sections are, what we're doing with our fans. And then we also communicate the week of the game that we're with that particular opponent. So when I'm playing Kyle, because I'm the home team and hosting, I'll send him an email and say, these are our guidelines at Cedar High School. And Kyle obviously responds back and thanks me for sending those. And so he's in charge of his side. I'm in charge of my side. We work together. I do have rules posted. So, for example, in a football game, on our sidelines, they have to have coaching credentials or a media pass to be on the sidelines, or they're asked to leave. They're not even allowed to be down there. And my expectation is that when Kyle comes to my place, that he enforces that along with me. And the very same is true when I go to Kyle's place. We just work so closely together. It's Superintendent Delaney will like this. It's the ultimate PLC process.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, and we're similar in Region 18. We meet as a region. We're all on the same page and consistency. And if we play somebody outside our region at the start of the week when I'm confirming games, I'll let them know if there are any special circumstances or issues with COVID that they need to expect in the watching out for. I think our biggest thing is just having the signage and making sure fans come in wearing masks.
Is there anything different, Kyle and Danny, about working with the St. George schools?
Well, no, I mean, because we all met and we talked about it, and we decided together to move the student section, for example, to the track and, and stuff. One challenge we had was that first game, August 17th, I believe it was. The St. George schools put their student section on the track, but then realized that the track was about 120 degrees, and it didn't work. So they moved them back to the stands, and so that's been a challenge. We've stuck with it and kept our our student sections out onto the track so then the fans can then spread out. But it hasn't. Other than that, it's been great, and Region 9 is great. All the ADs, like Danny said, we're great PLC. We just work together on things. We can call any of the other ADs at any time down there, and we've got each other's backs.
Brett, any other discussion about Region 18 and athletics?
Probably just a consideration for parents. It's mentioned in the ASA guidelines. Families will maintain safety. It just says, make sure the child and immediate household members are free from illness before participating in practice and competition. If there's any doubt, stay home. Provide personal items for the child, including label them. We're trying to get away from sharing water bottles, and all of our players have their own water. And then disinfect your students' personal equipment after each game of practice. I think that's a big one that maybe sometimes gets overlooked.
Thank you. Any other questions for our ADs or Shannon, Roy, Steve, anything you want to add?
Well, I would just add a big thank you to our athletic directors, to our coaches. Education happens inside and outside of the classroom, and being involved in athletics, theater, art, band, these are things that develop character, create well-rounded individuals. And we know that this is a lot of extra work, and we really appreciate it, and just want you to know that we recognize that this is a Herculean effort.
Yes, thank you. If any of you can think of possible questions the community might have that we may not have answered, does anything come to mind?
Karen, one thing that I think, as far as Cedar and Canyon View goes, we're actually both in the near future are going to online ticketing for all of our events. And we'll obviously post that on social media and on our websites, probably within the next 2 weeks at Cedar High. All events, whether it's an athletic event, whether it's a play going on or a band recital, anytime that we're charging for an event, all tickets will be purchased online. So there'll be no money exchanged at the gate at events. And what spurred that on is COVID. We want to decrease the exchange of money and cards and things of that nature. So
Great to know. So that information to get tickets will be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to add my gratitude and appreciation to these good men for their effort and all the extra hours and time that they're now needing to spend away from their families. It truly is appreciated, and I know that seems a little, for me, it's not enough to repay them for all of that time, but sure am appreciative of them, and I know that our community is as well. As I'm in the community, I hear that thank you, and to make sure that I thank you. So now that I've got you all here together, let me please express that gratitude and appreciation. So thank you.
Well, we're all grateful, and really, I had no idea how many extra hours you were spending getting ready and administering those events. So a big thank you from all of us in the community, I'm sure. If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and close. Any last thoughts? We'll make this recording available to the community as well. And then we may be able to get some feedback that way to what we can do in the future.
Thanks for organizing this, Karen. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, again, thanks to all of you, and we'll be having these web forums monthly is our hope, and advertising our topics. So glad we could hit athletics this first time around. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome. We will end now.
Okay.